Namaste and a very warm welcome to the official podcast of Indian Journal of Anaesthesia, also known as the voice of Indian Society of Anesthesiologists. In each episode, we'll bring you conversations with pioneer anesthesiologists, researchers, and educators from India and across the globe who are making a real difference. We'll dive into landmark articles from IJA, clinical pearls, emerging trends, and real world challenges in anesthesia, critical care, and pain medicine. Tune in while on call duty or while commuting. We translate evidence into practice, spark notable changes in your work, and prioritize patient safety. So, without further ado, let me hand it over to our host, Dr. Milan V. Mitragotri.
Welcome to the Indian Journal of Anaesthesia podcast, where science meets practice in anesthesia. I am Dr. Milan V. Mitragotri, your host today. It's my privilege to welcome our distinguished guests for this inaugural episode. Joining us today is Dr. Madhuri S. Kurdi, Madam, who is Editor-in-Chief of the Indian Journal of Anaesthesia. She is also a professor in the Department of Anesthesia at KMCRI Hubli, with decades of academic and clinical experience. Under her leadership, IJA continues to set new benchmarks in quality research and literature outreach. Welcome you, ma'am.
Thank you, Milan.
By Dr. Sukhminder Jit Singh Bajwa, sir, who is the executive editor of IJA. He is also the dean and principal at Maharishi Markandeshwar College of Medical Sciences and Research, Ambala. He is also the current editor-in-chief of Practical Evidence in Anesthesia Knowledge, Peak Journal. He has been the immediate past honorary secretary of Indian Society of Anesthesiologists, National. He is in the past associate editor-in-chief of IJA and JOACP, on the editorial board of at least more than 30 international and national journals. He brings vast editorial experience to the table of Indian Journal of Anaesthesia. Welcome you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Milan.
Today, both the stalwarts will share their vision for IJA, their upcoming initiatives, the challenges they are facing, and the new frontiers in evidence-based anesthesia. Dr. Madhuri, Madam, at the outset, congratulations on taking over the prestigious mantle of Editor-in-Chief of IJA. It is indeed one of the most distinguished and responsible positions in our field. You have already served as an associate editor of IJA between the years 2020 to 2024, and also as an associate editor of JOACP. So, with your prior experience, ma'am, as an associate editor, how do you feel it is to lead the journal now? And what's been the most rewarding aspect so far? And what are the unexpected challenges that have tested you the most?
Thank you, Milan. As you know, I have been in the editorial team of several journals like the Indian Journal of Anaesthesia, Practical Evidence in Anesthesia Knowledge, and other journals. And my journey in IJA started as a reviewer, where I reviewed articles for the journal, and it was a passion for me. I very much wanted to join the editorial team of IJA, and in 2020, when Dr. Lalit Mehdi was the editor-in-chief of the journal, and Dr. Sukhminder Bajwa was the associate editor-in-chief, I got an opportunity to join the editorial team of IJA. And that was a dream come true for me. Like, it was something which I very much was passionate about. And I got the opportunity to work for the journal. And I was always very passionate and dedicated about my work. In fact, even as a reviewer, I used to request the editors to kindly send me articles for review. The thing was that I had participated in every step of the manuscript management process. So the rich experience that I got, both as a reviewer, author, and editor, helped me when I formally took charge as EIC. So I'm sure that this rich experience will help me in my daily work of the journal. And as you said, Milan, this is the hot seat. It definitely is a hot seat, but it is not. It is full of responsibilities, and responsibility that the journal maintains the high standards and a desire to bring it up to higher levels, and the expectations of our ISA members that the journal should improve further. And it is said that heavy is the head that wears the crown, right? So, like that, this seat comes with a lot of responsibilities, and it is a seat of thorns. See, so long as the articles are accepted, the authors are happy. But as soon as the article is rejected, discontent spreads amongst them. So these are all part and parcel of the post. So the post comes with a lot of accountability and mixed feelings. And the most rewarding moments which I have had after I have taken over as EIC, one is the publication of the zonal supplement, the northern supplement. It got published around a month after I took over officially, and it is one of the policies of the ISA to publish the zonal supplements. These zonal supplements were published in 2020 to 2023, but they were stopped in between and they have been restarted. And the second rewarding moment was the publication of the March issue of IJA, which was a special issue to commemorate Women's Day. So this issue has got two editorials by women editors. It has got a very interesting original article, a gender survey on workplace bias, gender bias, and with two commentaries to complement this original article. So these are the very rewarding moments for me. And the unexpected challenges which you asked. Yes, the most important challenge which I never expected is the challenge of artificial intelligence. How to face it? Artificial intelligence is now a big challenge for the editor. And in the next few minutes, I will be telling you how artificial intelligence has attacked us.
Indeed, ma'am, your passion, dedication, and your vision is palpable in your work, and we have already seen it in your issues. Looking ahead, ma'am, what is your bold vision for Indian Journal of Anesthesia over the next 2 years, ma'am? And how do you plan to elevate its impact in anesthesia research and practice?
Yeah. So the goal for the journal would be, now before I tell you the goals, I would like to tell the scores. Like, the journal, the Indian Journal of Anesthesia, it occupied the quartile 1 in 2023, and it also had an impact factor of 2.9. That was the highest ever impact factor in the history of IJA. And but over the years, the impact factor has kept on fluctuating with dips and troughs and peaks. So we want to bring the impact factor up and keep it stable for a long time. So the impact factor, which has fallen to 1.9, we want to bring it up and see that it crosses at least 3 over the next 3 to 4 years. And next is the quartile. As I told you, now it has come to the quartile 2 level. So we would like to bring it up to the quartile 1 journal ranking. The CIMAGO journal ranking, SJR, that is 0.414 at present, and we would like to bring it up so that it crosses 2 over the next few years. So the journal should achieve a better global ranking, and it should also become easily, a thing which should be easily accessible to our members. Like, it should not become a very prize moment, you're getting an article in the IJA. Well, this is not my cup of tea. This should not happen. So it is a journal of ISA, which is our prestigious body, and the journal is for our members, and it should be a easily accessible. I mean, our members should be able to publish articles in it. So these would be the goals.
That is really enterprising, ma'am. The vision, with which vision you all are working towards bringing IJ to the pedestal, ma'am. Ma'am, my next question is to Bajwa sir. As Madam said, IJ is growing tremendously as the days go by. How well do you believe, sir, that IJ will meet the global scientific standards, what the scientific standards demand, while also addressing the unique publication needs and challenges of Indian anesthesia community, sir?
Thank you, Milon, for bringing this point up. And I heartily congratulate Dr. Madhuri for taking over the as editor-in-chief of IJA. That's a prestigious moment. So whatever the vision and scope for the journal she has described, I think we all are with her and will be vying to bring it up to that level by the time the tenure of the EIC ends. It should be, I think, whatever you have asked and question. So that will be one of the prestigious aim to bring it to a different level. Currently also IJ is not less than the many journals in the world. And these rankings may not be truly reflecting the journal's quality sometimes. These are more on the metrics, more on the numerics that you think that the journal's ranking it down. But the quality of the IJ is very, very much evident from the last 1 decade, I think, whose all the past editors have done there. If you compare the IJ with the global journals, we are a nation highly populous with the highest number of members, second largest in the ASA. You expect a journal to carry a load of so many people with the varying cultures, with the varied educational standards, with you having INI on the one side, you have got a peripheral medical college on the one side, you have got a district hospital medical college on the one side. In this country, the research may not be have uniform standards. Although the NMC is doing a lot, we are bringing up certain norms, certain protocols, so that the research carries a uniform code throughout the country, but that's not feasible. In certain medical colleges, you may not be having enough equipment or infrastructure. You may not be having the resource facilities for the research work. There is too much variation if you go compare to the global standards, and especially the Western world. They have got everything at their disposal. They can go to any research, even for the molecular level research they can do, which is not feasible in every part. In almost only few institutions can adopt those research standards. Coming to the Indians, we people, again, on one of the editorials we had highlighted that it's a country of different diversity, a unity in diversity. The north, the south, the east, the west, the central, everywhere the different languages are spoken, different religious customs, so many things are varied. So that means we are not speaking a uniform language of English. That English language is not our primary language. And for that matter, because the journal is always in English language. So your linguistic barriers, they are never can be the same standards as in the Western journals. So when the primary language is not English, so definitely the expressions of certain things, certain research standards, certain research results, certain research ideas, they cannot be translated from that particular language to the English language in the highest manner, in a polished manner, you can say. So whatever the thing comes to mind, the vocabulary is there, whatever vocabulary there goes to with the individual researcher, they can express only to that extent, and that's a shortage, and that will remain. But here comes the role of the editor-in-chief and other editors, where they can always polish the article so to as to bring to the global standards. And I am sure already we are following the global standards. The only thing is, if you ask how you can measure it, that's not possible. Rankings and quartile and impact factor, these are one standard. Then you come to part. Indian articles are being cited by the high impact journals. That means they value the Indian article, the article published in IJA. Otherwise, the citation in the global journal couldn't have been possible had the quality of the Indian article is lower, especially the original article, the investigation, clinical investigation, which are being published in IJA. I think this was the, hope I have answered your question to that extent, or something is left.
Yes, sir. As you have rightly said, Indian Journal of Anesthesia is not lagging behind, and at the same time, the past editors are taking all their effort to ensure that they meet the scientific standards at the same time address the challenges of Indian anesthesia community. Sir, you have been into uh, you have been into medical journalism. That is, you have more than 15 years experience in editing and reviewing in the field of medical journalism. For our listeners, especially those who are into early career researchers, could you outline what is the current scope of IJ? What type of manuscripts, like whether it's original research or reviews or innovations, what are you all actively pursuing or encouraging right now, sir?
So I think that scope is very clear in the, if you go to the IJ website also, it's given there. And even if you go to the publication pyramid, the systematic reviews and meta-analysis may be occupying the top position, the apex. But just below that, the clinical investigation, the original articles, they form the heart of a journal, any journal. Especially the young researchers, I can't believe, I can't expect, and I can't anticipate that a young researcher will be able to do a meta-analysis or a systematic review. It takes a lot of years to learn, to earn, to yearn into the research academics. Currently, if you follow the proper research methodology, especially I think when you postgraduate course of 3 years, the one thesis you do, if you do it that in a such a manner, in such a dedicated and meticulous manner, you are definitely putting your best foot forward for the research academics. But here comes a mistake when you're doing a thesis. People say that we are doing the clinical duties as well. We are doing that. We are reading. We are have to remember so many points and so many concepts. So the research work gets, a backseat there. And even the teacher, maybe guide and the co-guides, even they are also being burdened with so many theses in their kitty. 3 or 4 students, maybe of a second year, third year, first year even. So it's not feasible for them also to do a quality research at that time. I think if habit is inculcated in every educational institution that from first 6 month onward, you better focus on the research, this methodology. Uh, it means that even the teachers should also be educated in the research methodology, not the student. Students are new to the curriculum, but teachers have been there for a longer, because for a PG teacher, 8 years minimum as per the NMC protocol. That means you already are 8 years into the research. So if they get into the right research methodology, Kausha, so they can take it forward, they can guide the student forward. If you get a habit, I say 100 students are there, they're doing the PG at the same time. Practically speaking, 100 will not be able to become a good researcher. That's true. At least even 10 of them become a good researcher. That will bring the entire country's map of research onto the global map. That is what is required at the moment. We can't say all the 100 will be passing with a good research academics. Even 10 will do. If you say almost 40,000, 4,000 PGs are admitted everywhere. 4,000, I'm telling. 4,000 PGs are admitted in a country in anesthesiology. If 400 of them, 10% mean 400 of them becomes good into research academics, you don't publish these type of articles into IJ. They far exceed even the expectation of IJ. So for a young researcher, I think putting a stress on their research academics, training the teachers, having good workshops. Even the NMC has also given the BCBR workshops, even attending those also. That will inculcate a good research academic habits. And once you pass out, you will be publishing your own manuscripts. You will be taking up the research work. Sometimes it's look boring, but ultimately, when you really get habituated, one good quality article will definitely boost your morale to go in for the further into publishing more highly impact article. This is the only way. I think after certain years, 2, 3 years, 4 years, you can put your feet into this meta-analysis or systematic reviews. Before that, I think not possible for a student, but they should also be taking part actively in the conferences, especially the state, zonal, and the national conferences where they can be presenting their work as a faculty, young faculty, or as a student, whatever. That will give them further confidence and interaction among the people of different parts or different states of the country will also give them a further ideas for going to the research. That's the only way the youngsters can go forward. But as a last to be a disciplined, sincere towards the academics. Otherwise, it cannot be taken lightly. That's the message I want to give to the youngsters.
True, sir. Your advice will definitely help young researchers to take the right path forward. On the same note, I would like to ask Madhuri Madam. Madhuri Ma'am, for aspiring authors who are watching or listening out to this podcast, what would you advise would be the top three practical tips for crafting a manuscript that can get published in IJA? On the flipper side, what would be the most common pitfalls or reasons for their article to be refused or rejected?
Yeah, thank you, Milan. So I'm sure that there have been a lot of researchers or authors, as you say, who have landed in frustration because of rejections. Uh, so my advice to the authors or these researchers would be that the first thing is that there is no shortcut to research. There is nothing called fast track research. Like today is a world of fast track. You order something, it just comes. So to get a really good article in a prestigious journal, you have to plan things well and take some time. So a research article or a clinical investigation published, say in IJ example. So you need to plan things. You need to first of all plan a good research study. First of all, your research hypothesis has to be good. Then you have to plan the proper study design, the study methodology. So many points are there in the study methodology. Then you will have to analyze the results well. And then also follow the ethical principles of research. That is very important, including the good clinical practice guidelines and the Declaration of Helsinki. And follow all these. Get your study, first of all, cleared in the ethics committee of your hospital. Then get it registered in the clinical trial registry, which is very important to maintain transparency. And then start recruiting your subjects. So all this, once you do, then once your study is complete, your results are ready and you have drawn a conclusion, you should know how to present your study now to the outside world. Your research is done for you, but now you want to show your research to the scientific community. So how will you show it? You will think now in which journal should I publish my study? So you start searching for journals, you find out which are the journals in your subject. Then you start finding out the impact factor of the journal. You start finding out about the indexing of the journal and so many things. And then finally, you submit the article. So now when you write the article, you must first of all go to the author instructions page of the website of the journal. So in the author instructions page, everything will be mentioned from A to Z. How the article is expected, how the manuscript should be according to the journal editorial board. So you read the author instructions carefully and prepare your manuscript. Then once everything is ready, you submit your article. And remember that once you submit your article, you cannot hurry, because all prestigious journals take some time for the peer review process which has to take place. So the peer review process will take sessions with the review process. And once the reviewer comments are sent to you, you must read them carefully to find out what are the mistakes in your study. Never get angry with the comments. Because I remember that when I myself was a budding author, as soon as the reviewer comments used to come, I used to get very angry and think that they are just trying to pull my leg. And I remember I once even burst into tears and vowed that I would never ever do research again or write an article again. But then I realized afterwards, I sat coolly and thought that no, this is not right. What they have said is right, and I have to improve on myself. And they are. So I sat coolly and improved everything, and then it got accepted. So the thing is, we have to have patience in the review process and then improve our article. So once the editor is satisfied with your article, it will get published. Now, what are the factors which merit publication of an article? I think that is the most important thing which you want me to tell over here. So it is most important is novelty. Novelty is important. Novelty in the research hypothesis. Or do a Me Too study, that is, someone has already done one study and I also do the same thing, just change a little bit, 1 milligram here or there, or a small change in the methodology, and then I claim that mine is a novel study. No, that is not novelty. So it has to be novel, and the topic has to be in tune with the times. Now suppose it is like something trending, now if some fashion say it is jeans, and I go to the old bell bottoms, definitely people will. So I have to go with the topics that are trending. That is one of the criteria for PubMed Index journal. After the novelty comes the content, how accurate the scientific content is, and the methodology. Following a rigorous methodology is very, very important. The methodology has to be robust. It should include the design should be perfect, matched to the hypothesis. It should be, the steps should be described in such a way that if the one more person plans to do this, it should be easily possible. That is known as reproducibility. And the inclusion, exclusion criteria, blinding, allocation, randomization, sample size estimation, everything should be done well planned and done. Okay. And then the statistical analysis again has to be perfect. And then after that comes the presentation of the data. It doesn't end with this, it is like preparing a dish and serving it well on the table. The dish may be very tasty, but if you do not, serve it in a proper platter, people are not going to eat it, right? So if you don't present your research in the manuscript in a proper way, that is, if you don't write your article well, it is sure to make the editors and the reviewers get pissed off, and your article can get rejected. Okay. So, and of course, one more reason for rejection is author misconduct and not following proper ethics. It is very important that your studies should be registered in the clinical trials registry. So whatever study you do, better to register it and then only start recruiting the subjects. So what we see is that people do some study, if they don't follow all this, and then they start retrograde, now let me publish it in IJA, and then they bring this study without a registration and with so many loopholes in the methodology, with an old hypothesis, not written well the manuscript, then there are high chances of it getting rejected. So there are two types of rejection. Either it can be a desk rejection where the editor directly on reading it is not suitable, is not even suitable to go for peer review, or it will be average. So the editor sends it for peer review, but after peer review, again, one more decision is taken. And then again, the article, if it is below standard, it gets rejected. And journals like IJA have a very large submission rate, and they have many articles lying in the pipeline to be published. That is why the articles have to be of good standard to acquire priority to get published.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for the advice. I definitely agree. These early career researchers should definitely not try to jumpstart their career in research by just uh, trying to aim that your first publication will always get published in the reputed journals. Uh, Next, I would like to ask Bajwa sir. Sir, there is a common myth that among the researchers that only researchers from top tier institutes get published. The research which is done in top tier institutes get published in high impact journals like IJ. Is that true? How level is the playing field for contributors from smaller or regional centers like tertiary medical colleges?
To some extent, I can say that the top researchers, the top institution, maybe the INI, Institution of all the national repute, they've got a very established research standards, equipment, laboratories, methodologies, skills that have been over the years. So it doesn't mean that if any research coming from that institution, that a very top ranked institution, that will the best research. It's not like that. You take out the citation scores of articles published in Indian Journal of Anaesthesia over the last 15 years, maybe last 20 years, you will see the first 50 articles which have been cited, majority of them belongs to the peripheral institutes. That means the best research can be carried out in any institution. Only it's a psychological effect that only the bigger institutes can get their paper published or manuscript published. No doubt about that, they score over the other institution because they are centrally sponsored. The so many things, so many resources, so many facilities are available. But in the peripheral institute, it's the hard work of teachers and students together with a very little, support from the management or the support staff or the government also sometimes. But in IJA, it's not that. We may have seen certain times the best research and published, as Dr. Madhuri said, we have got a high submission rate. But on the other side, we have got a high rejection rate also. We have got a 80%, 75 to 80% rejection rate, because in a year when you get 1500 manuscripts, out of which only 300 to 350 can get published, including the case report, letter to editor, whatever category of the article is. So what will happen? So it is a relative rejection of the manuscript, it's not the pure rejection. The research between a peripheral institute and a central institute may be having a very minor difference, but it's a relative rejection. The little better get published, the other cannot get published. Now, if you see, for the when we COVID, ISA National Online PG classes were started by Dr. Naveen Malhotra, and later on carried by us also during my tenure. You must have seen the involvement of every peripheral institute into those classes with the confidence. That is, I think, a major step in contributing to the research academics. Because when you get a confidence at the national level, whether it's a presenting to a national audience, definitely you want to transform that confidence, your presentation into the research work which should be globally visible, especially nationally visible. So I think that is the one step we are doing. It's anybody has to teach the manuscript writing to author or a teacher. It is the confidence, it's about the opportunities you get. When you get one opportunity, there are at least 10 doors get open for the other opportunities. So you have to cash up on that. So I think over the last 3 4 years, whatever the classes have been there in the national platform, that will definitely transform into research academics. And I think over the next 1 year to 2 year, we'll see the manuscripts coming from those peripheral institutes also. And to build up their confidence, I think we had one helpline, author helpline, forum, where if article is rejected, at least we convey to the author that this is the basic discrepancy, basic shortcoming in your article. How can you improve this thing? Not just this article or manuscript, but for the future also, whenever you want to submit to the IJA or to any other journal for that matter, these should be covered up. These are the things which are limiting the expression of your manuscript to the globe. So I think that's best way we are going forward, and we used to do it previously also. So this time we are doing it very aggressively so that every peripheral institute, and if you ask me one more thing, then we have come with the supplements. Supplements give you an equal chance that any, suppose north, south, east, west, central supplements are there. The northeast and eastern, if you say the research work is little less there, but they have got the journal supplement there, so they can able to publish the article there, and the quality has to be monitored by the editor-in-chief and editors, which we are doing it. So that every part of the country gets representation in the IJ. That is very, very important, because as in the beginning of your interview, when Dr. Madhuri said IJA is a prestigious body, ISA journal is for the members, it's of the member, and it's by the members. So we are also ISA members, so that's how the journal is going to grow into the future.
Thank you, sir. You definitely cleared that misconception, uh, and definitely researchers will understand that what are the possible reasons why their article is rejected. It's not because of that their article is from a tertiary center, but because of the limitations what a editor has. Madhuri ma'am, in the fast evolving field of anesthesia, how would you define a good research that truly advances patient care? That what kind of research should early young researchers prioritize when they design their studies, ma'am?
I think I've already said that in my previous in previous answer to previous questions, that whatever research they do, it should be in tune with the current times. It should be novel, the hypothesis. It should be clinically useful also. It should be feasible. I mean, now, whatever the research conclusion is, one should be, it should be clinically useful, and you should be able to implement it in clinical practice. And whatever research you do, I would advise them to follow the ethics of good research. Following the ethics in research is very, very important. Design a study with a robust methodology. That is very, very important. A study with loopholes in the methodology can never see the light of the day. So such a study which is not designed well, such a study, whatever conclusion is drawn or whatever observations are obtained, do not carry any value. And in fact, if such studies are published, they will be detrimental to clinical practice, because whatever the conclusion is not valid, and one cannot respond this. And as I said, the presentation of the study has been very good after the study is done. So I would advise young researchers to go in for doing good quality research. First of all, conduct and then present it as an original research article or a clinical investigation. But just a little bit modification to your, not just clinical investigation skills in scientific writing by writing small articles in the beginner, maybe a simple letter to editor. Small things like that. You will get a feel of the publication process and you will develop your skill in scientific writing or academic writing, it is known as. So that can also help you a long way to publish better category research articles. So once you go in from small letter to editors to case reports to original research, then as Bajwa sir said, you can go to higher levels like systematic reviews and meta-analysis.
Thank you, ma'am. As you said, that simple articles like letter to editor, case reports should be the foundation steps on which a researcher should work on. My next question is to Bajwa sir on a similar note. These case reports have always been a cornerstone of medical research. Do you still think they hold a strong value in IJA today, sir? And even though they are a cornerstone, there are many submissions, many case reports which are submitted. What do you think are the unique elements that make a case report stand out and publishable in the IJA journal now?
Uh, Definitely, see, at one stage during this last 5 to 10 years, with so many submissions of the case reports to the journal, everybody they used to submit in such a manner that they look at the previous case published case reports, they try to copy that methodology and try to publish it that way. It's not like that. Case report has its own structure. You have to go by structure, but half of the structure is just mentioned there. That means the first part, how the case was done, what was done, what was the background. That was never lucrative, and it was not required also, which could have been summed up in just 1 or 2 lines. That's why we came out the idea that better to publish the letter to editor, because one case report, if you publish, it takes 2.5 pages sometimes. And in those 2 pages, maybe that in those 2 pages, you can publish 3 letters to editor, giving more opportunity to the authors. But there are certain case reports which are very unique, which are very rare, and you may not be able to perform the clinical investigation or observational studies on those cases, which you occur very rarely. Suppose in the beginning, 15 years back, we were obsessed with malignant hyperthermia at that time. That is such a disease. We don't have dentoline, we don't have those monitoring gadgets where we can or proactively we can know about it. But with the time now, we've seen that too many advancements have come, the literature has grown, our knowledge has grown. So at the moment also, we think that the case report is very unique. It has to be given a proper background, a proper way of challenge is there. The barriers to the managements are there. I think we will publish this report. Not averse to that. Publish it is very unique, written so well that whatever the pages it occupies, it justifies the occupation of those pages. Because the journal, every page counts, because that also comes as it's a cost to the journal. And if the case report is just a small case and we publish it a report, it's a wastage of the good pages of the journal. We could have accommodated 3 more good letters to editor. So this is the idea behind it. We will still publish, but it has to be unique, present in novel way, and the manuscript writing part should also be very good. This is the thing.
Thank you, sir. On a similar line, sir, you mentioned a point in the earlier part of the podcast about systematic reviews and meta-analysis. We have seen a massive surge in these submissions recently into journals. You already mentioned, but do you think this massive submission reflects genuine progress, or are we risking quantity over quality in the evidence synthesis?
See, it's one of the catching me on a track that is very slippery. Whatever being conveyed by me will be taken as a word of a wisdom or a gospel or whatever it is, but it's a fact. Research happening in our country, I think 70 to 80% is not up to the standards. And it's a very truthful confession. We see around us we have to introspect. We cannot be dishonest with ourselves when we are really talking about the achievement and academic progression in the research activities. So we may start on a very good note on a research project, but after some time we get so lazy, we get so much of bugged up, then we just try to finish it up and mop up the things, and it become a research material available for publishing or whatever presentation. The meta-analysis also follows the same pattern. See, you can ask our editor-in-chief, Dr. Madhuri, and myself to write a meta-analysis. It takes a toll on you. You search the literature, you compile it, you analyze it. So many things are there. It is just like writing 5 original articles, writing one meta-analysis. When rightly pointed out that if you are getting a surge in meta-analysis, that means either the research academics have improved like drastically in this country, or sometime it's on other way around, which I described. But here we have to balance whatever you ask, the balance of quality and quantity. Even the topic of the meta-analysis has to be unique and novel. You just can't write a meta-analysis on any topic. It has to be unique and novel. It should answer the research question, the hypotheses on which the meta-analysis is based upon. And that research question should be a very genuine problem in your specialty, in your happenings, in your surroundings, that for this particular thing, we require a meta-analysis. We want a rigorous review of the literature so that we can come out with a good solution to whatever the problem we are facing in everyday anesthesia practice. That we consider as one of the best meta-analysis. But writing a meta-analysis on any issues, even after registering with Prospero, that is, Prospero just registers it according to the methodology you adopt. They will accept that. But ultimately, whatever the statistic, the results you are going to point out, the novelty you are going to create, how much helpful it is going to be for the practitioners. For practitioner means not just the private practice means practitioner means everyday practitioner in the institution also. A revolutionary passage. So I think we have to be very carefully choosing the meta-analysis which are going to be published in IJA. So we have already discussed at length with the chief editor. So we will be publishing only those meta-analysis which serve the community, which serve the specialty, which leads to the growth of anesthesia, not just for the self-growth, self-glorification like that. So that is how we are going to progress in the future for meta-analysis.
You, sir, designing a meta-analysis and choosing the right analysis should be the right way forward, as you have said. Uh, my next question is to Madhuri, madam. Madam, coming to the challenges, as sir said, there is challenges, various different challenges we are facing ongoing. In your recent editorial, which you mentioned in one of the uh, journals in IJA, you about changing winds. You mentioned about how inside you discussed about the role of artificial intelligence in academia. From your vantage point as editor in chief, what has been your hands-on experience with artificial intelligence tools in editorial and research process? And do you feel it is a boon or a potential bane, ma'am?
Well, that's a very nice question that you have asked, Milan. Artificial intelligence is now, it has sort of attacked the publication arena. It's like the big bug, or the big villain. Or I don't know whether to call it as a villain or to call it as an angel. There are both plus points and negative points of artificial intelligence in research. And a lot of discussion is going on currently in the academic world about the applications of artificial intelligence in research. So there are both positive and negative points. But as an editor, what I have seen practically is that in the past years, the manuscript presentation used to be very poor, especially the language, the grammar was very poor. And the editorial team members used to had to sit and literally do a lot of language and technical language editing for the manuscripts. But now The manuscripts come in very good English, and the grammar is also perfect. I'm not talking of saying of all manuscripts, but many of them. So sometimes I feel that this makes the work of the editorial team lighter. This is on one side, but on the other side, there's a lot of challenges that AI has brought to the editors, to the editorial team, and the reviewers. So the AI has attacked, or it is the bug which has infested not only the authors, but the reviewers and everybody. It has attacked. So if authors, it has found that authors are generating 100% AI generated manuscripts they are submitting. So the entire article is generated with the help of AI. Now there are two things in AI. Either it is AI assisted or AI generated. So here, large language model used to generate an entire study and a manuscript. And this is totally unacceptable. So much of time and energy is spent by the editorial team, by the editors, by the reviewers in going through this article. So we have found that after going through various steps of the publication process, it is found that the article is a majority of it is AI generated. So see how much of time it is taking of the editorial team. And editors and reviewers, they spend a lot of their personal quality time to work for the journal. So this doesn't speak well at all. And secondly, AI generated manuscript means the author has not taken any effort to write it. And you cannot value these kind of statements or whatever are made in the article. That is one thing. And not only that, AI generated references are very common, where entire references are found not to exist. The entire reference does not exist if you try to search for that particular reference which is quoted. So the plagiarism score will be very low for that article, but the AI score will be very high. I have found an inverse relation between the two. So these things are very, very, these have become a troublesome issue, and we are trying to get in AI tools to detect such kind of submissions so they can be rejected at desk level itself. But currently they are a bit costly, and the production team is the producers are planning to get AI tools for us, and editors have their own AI tools with the help of which these kind of articles are screened and rejected. But my advice to the authors would be not to employ these AI in this way, because it's not going to help in any way, and it is going to tarnish the image of the researcher. A researcher who is found to submit AI generated articles can be blacklisted forever. So definitely they should not do this to tarnish their own image. And if you use it for assisting, for example, for grammar check, then that's okay, but definitely not in a bigger way. And AI, of course, in research, it is helping to do literature search. When you are planning to find out good research hypothesis, you can do AI, with the help of AI, you can do a very good literature search. And you can plan your research hypothesis. You can use AI for data analysis. These all are okay, but not AI generated manuscripts.
Yes, ma'am. As you said, artificial intelligence is definitely both it's definitely on a higher scale. I think it's more of a bane than a boon at present, because the challenges you all are facing as editors and researchers are misusing the boon is definitely there. We had an insightful session where you all shared your vision, also discussed about all the challenges as well as new frontiers, as well as the new scope where you all are targeting and the future course of action you all want to take for the IJA. So before we wrap up all our this session, this podcast, I would like to ask you all what is one action or one advice which you both want to give to young anesthesiologists aspiring to contribute meaningfully to literature through our Indian Journal of Anesthesia. Bajwa sir, please can you advise our young anesthesiologists, sir?
Nowadays it's difficult to advise anyone actually. People don't take advice in a healthy manner. That's the first thing that every youngster should take the advice in a healthy manner. That is the first pearl of wisdom for all the youngsters. But especially in our specialty, we have seen after the people pass out, then they realize the ground reality if they go into the institution or they go into the practice. So whosoever go into the institution, I think as Dr. Madhuri said, see, writing to a journal in a form of a letter to editor, whatever good case you encounter, it may not get published. It may not get published, but you should try to at least present it to the journal. You will learn a lot because the editor will come out. If a editor is going to reject it, there will be many important messages in that rejection, which you can compile, which you can imbibe, which you can take forward in writing the next manuscript. The person who is speaking this, advising this, he has got more rejection than the publication. So it doesn't matter. See, I got maybe having more than 800 rejections in my life. I may have just published half of the rejections. So that doesn't mean that you should be rejected. Even I think you go for a matrimonial purpose. After I think you guess out 10 journals you select and one journal only picks you up. It's just like that only. So rejection should not be taken as the final what you call decision making, that you are not good author, you have not sent a good manuscript. It's just you have started, just like you have started walking as a neonate to infant to a toddler, toddler to a kid, child and child to a teenage. It's just like that. So whenever you have started publishing, start with a letter to editor, a small case. If it get rejected, get another one. Once it get published, you will try, oh, now I am able to stand on my feet a little better. I can now run a little better. So that's the way only way forward. There is no, I think, shortcut as Dr. Madhuri said in the beginning. So that's my only advice. If you want to get really acclaimed for, known for in academics, you have to do like this. It will be lucky if you get accepted in the first instance. I think you are the lucky one.
Yes, sir. Doing a good research, submitting it, and not getting disheartened if it gets rejected. That's what I take from your advice, sir. Madhuri madam, your advice to young anesthesiologists.
Yes. My message to the young researchers would be that be patient, be truthful, be thoughtful, do genuine research, and be passionate about what research you do. And work hard on your research. And once your research is done, work hard on writing the manuscript well and then submitting it to the journal. Remember that every research has a place somewhere in some journal. It's not necessary that every study that is done should get published in a very high impact factor journal. It's not like that. Your research, what level it is, the researcher will know. So you get it published. Maybe not in a very good journal, but somewhere definitely it deserves a placement. So go ahead, be patient with your research and never feel bad if your article gets rejected. Remember that rejection is nothing but a blessing to you, because in every rejection there is a message of future successful publication. Remember that you learn from every rejection, you learn from every mistake. It is said that failures are the pillars of success. So, like that, every rejection is the pillar of future successful publication. So, be patient and go ahead.
Thank you, ma'am. It was really an insightful session today. I definitely feel that the young researchers who are planning to send their researchers to IJA in the forthcoming submission or 1 or 2 years will really get benefited from this podcast. Thank you, Bajwa sir. Thank you, Madhuri madam. Over to Prerna.
What an inspiring launch to the IJA podcast. Dr. Madhuri ma'am and Dr. Bajwa sir, your profound insights into IJA's vision, invaluable publishing guidance, and the perspective on the future of anesthesia research have truly set the gold standard for this series. Thank you both. And to our listeners, take these pearls of wisdom, reflect on them, and let them drive your journey towards stronger evidence based practice and safer patient care. This is just the beginning. Stay tuned for upcoming episodes where we'll dive into landmark IJA papers, share clinical pearls, and explore global trends shaping anesthesia today. Follow us and stay updated on YouTube, ISA WhatsApp channel, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. This is the IJA podcast team signing off. And until we meet again, namaste.